Hey, what's up YouTube? It's your boy David back at it again with another cooking video. Today I'm going to be making wonton noodle soup with char siu. I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into it. First, we have to parboil the bones like you saw at the beginning of the video. As you can see now, I am skimming the impurities off of the top and discarding them. Then we will rinse the bones and clean them off real well so that we get a nice clear soup. Here you can see me cleaning the bones and rinsing them off real well. I rinsed them a couple times to make sure we get that nice clear beautiful broth when you get with wonton noodle soup. Then we will drain off the bones and place them into a pot, fill it up with water again, and put it back on the stove to simmer. We will slowly simmer the broth for about 1 hour. Now you want to start marinating the meat for the char siu. I would recommend at least 2 hours. If you could leave it overnight, that would be even better. Just pop it into the refrigerator, leave it overnight, and take it out about an hour before you start cooking it. That way when you cook the meat, it cooks evenly and it won't be raw in the middle. I bought about 2 pounds of meat, and I used 2 bags of the roast pork seasoning packets. I added some seasoning sauce to add a little bit more savory flavor. When you cut the meat, make sure that you don't cut it too big because you want the marinade to seep all the way through, but not too small either. And try to keep them uniform in size so that it'll cook at about the same time. Now, as you can see, I am just roasting a dried squid over an open flame to add to the soup to give it more of a seafood flavor. I've also added 1 whole onion and 1 whole daikon chopped up to give the broth more sweetness. I also added about 20 dried shrimp. That also adds a little salty seafood flavor as well. At this point, you just want to keep the heat on low for a slow simmer. You don't want to boil it because you will get a cloudy soup. Now it's time to make some fried garlic. This will add more umami flavor to the soup. As you can see, we have quite a few garlic cloves here. We will be using some of it for the wonton, so save some of that, put it aside, save it for later. When frying the garlic, just keep the heat on medium to medium low. We don't want the garlic to burn. That'll give a nasty flavor. Once the garlic is golden brown, you want to turn off the heat and remove it from the stove because it will continue cooking in the hot oil. You don't want it to burn. Now we are going to be making the filling for the wonton. Go ahead and add the garlic that we saved earlier to the food processor. We will then add the peeled shrimp and the ground pork. Add black pepper and granulated chicken flavor to the mix. Add a little sugar and some green scallions for flavor. Add some vegetable oil to keep things moist and some fish sauce to add some umami flavor. Once all the seasoning has been added, go ahead and put the top of the food processor on and pulse it a few times. Do not pulse it too much or you might get a pasty consistency. We want a more natural meat consistency. Now it is finally time to assemble the wontons. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Do whatever is comfortable with you. There are some videos on YouTube that will teach you some techniques and show you a few different ways that you can make these wontons. You can make them nice, pretty, ugly, doesn't matter. It all tastes good. Just make sure you add some water to at least 2 edges so that you could create a seal. That way the juices will not leak out. After you have marinated your char siu for at least 2 hours, take it out of the fridge, let it rest, bring it up to room temperature before you cook it. This is very important because you do not want a raw inside. Preheat a large wok or pan with some oil and slowly start adding the meat in. Do not use a high flame. The meat does have some sugar, so use a medium flame because it will burn quickly. Covering the meat during the cooking process will help the meat cook evenly and prevent splashing. As you can see, we are getting some nice color. The outside is starting to caramelize. It's important to keep your eye on it or it may burn. Once the char siu has been browned on both sides, go ahead and turn off the heat and put a lid on. It'll keep cooking. Let it rest for at least 30 minutes. Once it has rested, go ahead and cut it up and set it aside. After the bone broth has been simmering for about an hour, it's time to season. This is the brand that I'm using. Very good, and I highly recommend it. I used a total of about 6 large soup spoons. I also added a spoonful of salt as well. Add half a teaspoon of MSG and 1 medium-sized sugar wrapped candy. It is time to cook the egg noodles. Boil a pot of water and drop in the egg noodles. A small batch at a time. You do not want to overcook the noodles. 15 seconds should be good enough. You're aiming for a al dente, slightly undercooked noodle, a little on the chewy side. It'll continue cooking in the hot soup when you pour it over. Overcooking the noodle will give you a soggy noodle, and trust me, you don't want that. In the same pot, go ahead and cook your wontons. Once they start floating to the top, that means they're cooked and ready to eat. Here are the cooked wontons that I've removed from the boiling water. I have set them aside until we're ready to assemble. I will simply reheat them before serving, as you can see here. Add the wonton with the broth to the noodles and add the char siu. For garnishes, I will use Chinese celery, chives, bean sprouts, cilantro, scallions, fried garlic, and if you want to add extra flavor, you can add hoisin, sriracha, or satay, or all of the above. And it's ready to eat. Hope you guys enjoy this recipe. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, make sure you click the like button, comment, and please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.